Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, I'm making this triangular shaped box. This actually came about because another project I was working on went wrong, and rather than waste the cardstock, it came together as a triangle. It's really easy to put together, and you could easily put this together out of offcuts of cards that you might have in your scrap box. The overall size of the box is it's 5 inches at the widest point and it's 2 inches tall overall. This one is hinged, but you don't have to stick the hinge in place, and in fact the lid could be completely detachable. It's a quick and easy project to put together, so let's get started. The box base and the top are made exactly the same, and once you see the shape of the box you may then decide you want to make the shape differently, or you might want to make the base different from the top. For the top and the base you'll have 3 pieces which are 5 inches by 2 inches, and along the 2-inch side score at 1/2 inch, rotate, and on the long side within the 1/2 inch tab score down to the 1/2 inch score line at 1.5 and 3.5. So you have 3 pieces like that, and then you'll have 3 pieces which are 2.5 by 5. These you will score at 1/2 and 2, and on the long side within one of the 1/2 inch tabs you'll score down to the 1/2 inch score line at 1.5 and 3.5. Fold and burnish along the score lines, and the process is going to be the same on all 6 pieces effectively. Take your stylus and ruler, and we're going to score from the end of the score line that's on the right hand side down to the end of this score line here, or in the smaller piece we're going to score from the end of the score line down to the corner of the cardstock, like so. That's our additional score line. With the 1/2 inch tab in front of you and the additional score lines in front of you, I'm going to cut down the right hand additional score line to the 1/2 inch score line like so, and then we're going to cut diagonally across to the corner of the cardstock, or the end of the score line in this instance. So we're starting to create the funnel look for the lid. Rotate again, cut down the second additional score line like so, rotate back, and we're going to cut approximately 1/2 inch away from our diagonal. Rotate and remove that section. Fold and burnish the diagonal, then rotate back and just take a wedge and shape this top tab. Now at the moment I'm going to leave this piece square, but we will be cutting this at a later date. You'll have 3 pieces with this additional tab on, and then 3 pieces without the tab, so that will look something like that. Split your pieces into 2 piles, so you'll have one set will consist of 1 with the additional tab and 2 without the additional tab, and the other set will have 2 with the additional tab and 1 without the additional tab. And all we're going to do is add glue onto the side glue tabs and join up the 3 pieces to create the triangle. So you'll have 2 sections, a base and a lid. So we're now going to make the triangles, which are going to form the top and the base. And for this you'll need 2 pieces which are 2 1/8 by 2 inches. I'm going to measure along 1 1/16, and so that is 1 inch, and then add on a 16th, so top and bottom. Join up pencil marks, then sit your ruler on the bottom left hand corner, place the 2 1/8 of an inch mark on the bottom left hand corner of the ruler, like so, and then rotate the ruler until the top edge of the ruler meets the central pencil line. This will make sure that all of our sides of our triangle are the same length. We measure from the tip there down to the corner. So that's our triangle. So if we cut this one out, we can see that sits nice and neatly on the top of the piece. You might need to trim it down by a 1/16, but I'm quite happy with the slight little overlap that that will have. So you'll do that twice and then adhere that to the glue tabs to form the top and the bottom of the boxes. Before you add it on, just check that your glue tabs are shaped so that they're not going to be visible when your triangle is in place. So that's my lid and the base. And now, do you want to hinge the piece? So for instance, this could be glued along here and stuck into this side that doesn't have a flap on it and sit back like so, or do you want the lids to slot down over one another? Now what you need to do is we now need to shape these glue tabs because this angled lid needs to come over the top like so. So I'm now going to add an angle into the end of these so that the lid piece can come over the top. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just doing it by eye. I can adjust it if the piece doesn't then fit. So this flap should now fit down inside of there, which that does. So just make sure that they fit all the way round, which they do. And if you sit the flaps inside the lid, you can see whether they're the right shape or not. So we can slot that in like so, and that now sits and comes together like so. I think I'm going to stick mine in place. So as I say, you don't need to hinge it. You could have yours so that your lid is completely removable. So that's going to sit in there. Make sure the lid moves backwards and forwards directions, and then that will come down and sit over the top like so. And what I'm going to do is, you can see these two edges of these tabs are crossing over, which is causing the lid to spring up. So I'm just going to reshape those and make those so that they meet rather than cross over, so they're not interfering with one another, and that's going to come down over the top. So the box is now ready for decoration and tidying up any of the edges that I feel might be necessary on the top and the bottom triangles. So I'll come back once the piece is decorated and give you the measurements that I've used for the pattern paper. Here's the finished box. You can just see I've added some pattern paper onto all of the sides. I'll give you the measurements that I started out with, but I did make a template which I made sure I was happy with the angles of, and then used that to cut all of the 6 pieces that went around the sides. The template was 1 1/4 inches tall, and it was 4 1/4 inches at its widest point along here. I sat the strip on the base cardstock and just marked where I wanted my top angles to start, and then once I'd cut this 4-sided shape, I used that to draw around on the pattern paper. The triangle on the top, again, I cut this from scrap first to make sure I was happy with the look of the triangle. And this was cut from a piece which was 1 1/2 inches tall, and it was 1 3/4 of an inch across. I measured along the 1 3/4 inch side and marked at 7/8, and then moved my ruler until the sides of the triangle were all 1 3/4, so much the same as we created the triangle for the lid and the base on the actual box itself. The box would be really easy to resize, and it does come together quickly, and I think it's just a handy little treat box. So there we have today's project. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.